2023 and 2024 have been stellar years for classic Mario RPG fans, with the release of Super Mario RPG's remake in November 2023 and the most recent arrival of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Doors remake in May 2024. Nostalgia has been in full swing. As I revisited these titles, I found myself drawn into the rich narratives and the intricate worlds that define the Mario RPG series. Among these, my heart has always belonged to the Paper Mario series. I grew up as a GameCube kid who occasionally borrowed his older brother's N64 and Super Nintendo, so my fondest gaming memories stem from these consoles. Since then, I've journeyed through every Mario RPG title, even including the latest gem being Paper Mario The Thousand Year Doors remake. The Paper Mario series as a whole has undergone significant transformations over the years. It all began on the Nintendo 64 in 2001 with Paper Mario 64, a project that was born from the fallout between Nintendo and Square Enix. The GameCube sequel Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door elevated the series by expanding and refining its established formula. However, subsequent entries like Super Paper Mario on the Wii really shifted towards an adventure game mechanic, just straying from the traditional RPG style. As the series progressed, it continued to experiment with new gameplay elements while still being Paper Mario, some of which I actually really enjoyed. Now with the full circle return to Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door for its remake, it's the perfect moment for me to reflect on the entire series and rank each installment according to its merits. Join me as we embark on this nostalgic journey through the vibrant world of Paper Mario. For this ranking, I will be considering the Thousand Year Doors remake as its very own separate entity, and I would not be considering Mario & Luigi Paper Jam as a Paper Mario game. That game to me belongs in the Mario and Luigi series. So without further ado, let's get straight on into the ranking. Kicking off our ranking in 7th place is none other than my least favorite in the Paper Mario series, being Paper Mario Sticker Star. A real shock, right? You see, I was all over Sticker Star the moment it dropped for my Nintendo 3DS, but much like many other fans out there, it left me feeling pretty let down. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not a total disaster. The art direction is lovely, and there are definitely some fun moments that are sprinkled in, but when it comes down to it, Sticker Star just couldn't capture the same essence and the fundamental mechanics that made the earlier entries in the series so beloved. Sticker Star completely overhauled the franchise's formula, and frankly, it wasn't for the better. After being teased with early screenshots featuring partners and the traditional turn-based battles of the series, the final game saw removal of nearly all of the things that the fans of the franchise adored. No partners, no unique NPCs, a very lackluster story, and unfortunately a whole lot more. While the turn-based battles remained intact, Sticker Star introduced a new twist: one-time use stickers for attacks, and there were no experience points that could be gained from battles, only coins. These changes significantly undermined the incentive for players to ever engage in battles. Then there were the dreaded one-time use objects that needed to be used to turn the tide in specific areas of the game. The problem here was that in battles, most of the time the right thing to use was super unclear, and that made boss battles extremely aggravating. But the most glaring issue with Sticker Star lies in its story and its world building. It departs from the series norm, with the game swapping out the quirky locales like Rogueport and Flopside for more conventional Mario-themed environments. Think your grass world, your desert world, fire world, jungle world, etc. Even the characters, enemies, and bosses within them are just your generic Mario characters. It's such a fold from the previous installments that we had. The story itself was also so disappointingly short, lacked any real depth, and just left so many questions unanswered. It just felt so frustratingly incomplete, especially compared to its predecessors. It just lacked that richness and the complexity that the fans had come to expect from the Paper Mario series. And let's be real, having Bowser as the main antagonist again, especially after the narratives that came before it, just felt so uninspired. However, despite its flaws, I still managed to find some enjoyment in the game. Personally, I may be in the minority, but I really did appreciate the 3D mechanics that it did bring to the table, and the music could also be argued as being quite decent. I just wish that the world was connected and not split up into the generic Mario level 1/1, 2, etc. I do understand this could be a limitation of the 3DS though, but overall, an okay-ish game, but not a Paper Mario game for me personally. Coming in at number 5, we have Paper Mario Sticker Star 2. Sorry, I mean Color Splash. In my eyes, Paper Mario Color Splash serves as the sequel of Sticker Star. By that, it borrows heavily from its predecessor's mechanics. This means it doesn't entirely address the core criticisms of Sticker Star, but it does offer some improvements. Color Splash's battle mechanic is still arguably the greatest flaw of this title though. It simply uses Sticker Star's sticker mechanic and instead swaps out the stickers for cards, meaning battles essentially operate the same way. Even worse though, you have to now use the Wii U gamepad to paint the cards into more usable forms. This makes the battles extremely painfully slow. But hey, at least you can level up again to get more paint capacity. Yep, it's still not an RPG, but I think what we have here is a decent action-adventure game, to be completely honest. The story is also somewhat of a step up from Sticker Star, but still a mile away compared to its predecessors. Peach and Mario simply receive a letter from Prism Island, which they then discover that a toad was drained of all of its color and even folded into a letter shape. It's then discovered that the island is drained from all of its color, and you team up with Huey, the fountain's guardian, to collect 6 big paint stars from across the world. It's just as basic as Sticker Star's story, but it is slightly better in my opinion. But the main antagonist again is still Bowser, but I guess overall it is a little better. It's not all doom and gloom though. Color Splash's paint mechanics of coloring in the world did bring an abundance of entertainment in terms of exploration anyway. The characters were still pretty uninspired again, but the personality and humor of Color Splash were much more apparent this time. There were actually a fair few funny jokes throughout it. This game doesn't have the same chapter structure of the first 3 Paper Mario games, but each quest for a new big paint star does at least feel interconnected. I personally would have preferred the world to be more interconnected though, rather than the map select screen. Part of the charm of the originals were exploring all these interconnected worlds. I think the presentation though is really good. This game really does go in on the paper mechanics as well. In previous Paper Mario games, the characters were made out of paper where they moved around the more 3D regular world. Color Splash though, every element is made out of some papery material. I personally prefer the original's more 3D world, but I can really appreciate the effort and detail that have gone in here. The only thing I don't like is those white borders that outline the characters, but I think that might just be a me problem and not a you problem. The worlds though, or I prefer to say chapters, were so much better this time around though, and they were not uninspired like Sticker Star's standard Mario worlds. In fact, I would go as far to say the worlds and the levels here actually carried the game, but I would have appreciated it more if they were connected. The characters are quite fun this time around too. Well, I suppose there's still Sticker Star's ridiculous toad overload, but even then, a lot of them are packed with so many more distinct and memorable moments. They are often pretty quirky and funny as well. The enemies are also packed with personality this time too, and even talk back and say snarky things during combat. The bosses are primarily the Koopalings. I personally actually do like the Koopalings, but again, it's probably nothing in comparison to the old Paper Mario's bosses, but they at least all have fun and pretty distinct personalities. There is still no partners in this game though, which is really disappointing, but Huey has a lot more personality and certainly talks a lot more than the previous 2 companions found in Sticker Star and Super Paper Mario. But overall, I quite enjoyed my time with Paper Mario Color Splash. In between the sensational presentation, both the beautiful graphics and the catchy music, the exploration, and the humor, it's a game that I actually do recommend, as long as you're not searching for a traditional Paper Mario experience. Landing itself in number 5, we have Paper Mario the Origami King for the Nintendo Switch. The Origami King feels like the most complete form of what Sticker Star and Color Splash set out to do. In my opinion, it strikes a pretty good balance between the modern Paper Mario and also its classic innovation. One aspect that truly shines in this game though is its expansive and captivating world exploration. The game features larger and much more intricate worlds, each brimming with hidden secrets just waiting to be discovered. The game has 6 main areas, each linked to a streamer or the final level. Each area also has its own unique atmosphere, just making every area and sub-area feel different, and it's really interesting. These areas are made up of a lot of smaller parts, just giving you a whole lot to explore. And the best part is that you can wander around freely in this game's world, really making it feel like a big adventure again. Graphics wise, this game is absolutely absolutely stunning as well. Adding to this game's fun is the awesome music. Each area has its own music track, so you always have something new to listen to as you explore the world. Some people would argue, and I'm actually among these people, that the music in the Origami King is almost the best in the series. But again, it's just down to personal preference really. Paired with a surprisingly heartwarming storyline, the Origami King delivers a satisfying modern action adventure on the Paper Mario series. The Mushroom Kingdom here has been transformed into origami, which does take this whole entire paper aesthetic to a whole new level, which I don't really like, but the way they executed it is actually really good. The Origami King has some of the most silliest dialogue in the whole series in a good way, giving me plenty of moments that actually had me laughing. However, the story also has some surprisingly serious moments that definitely pull on your emotions, just giving this adventure a lot of depth. Additionally, partners are kind of back, but not really. They are generic looking and they aren't around permanently and only play a small part in the story. They do provide specific abilities for puzzle solving though, which had definitely been missing from the previous games in the series, but they are still limited compared to the first two Paper Mario games. However, shout out to Bobby Man, his story certainly pulls on the heartstrings. I just wish he was a more recognizable man, rather than just the average Joe Bob-on. Speaking of which, the Origami King unfortunately stumbles when it comes to the NPC designs. Once again, we encounter the issue of generic NPCs and enemies, just very reminiscent of the standard Mario game. However, the charming origami graphics and enemy designs definitely help offset this drawback to some extent. On the upside though, Mario's new folder creations definitely introduce fresh powers and skills. For instance, I really like the abilities like the 1000-fold arms, which really just allow him to manipulate the overworld and the environment to progress. These abilities just remind me of the mechanics in the 1000-Year Door, which I really like. I can't say the same thing about the boss battles though. The crafty aesthetic boss battles did not sit well with me at all. Finding stationary objects just didn't feel satisfying. Additionally, the boss fights required navigating specific maze-like pathways through the ring system to land a hit, which I just felt was like kind of unnecessary. Speaking of battles though, they were once again completely overhauled, and while they still are turn-based, they now center around 360-degree rings, just giving the combat a bit of a puzzle flair. The RPG elements of leveling up though are still missing, really diving in on the action-adventure category rather than the RPG, and that is completely fine. To be completely honest though, I did find these battles a little bit too easy, and I just saw myself dropping a bunch of coins to have the toads just jump in and solve it for me. But it's important to emphasize that this game is still overall really good, but it is evident that the game feels restricted by Nintendo's mandates on the creation of original characters and the partners. Additionally, the absence of experience points of battling is a notable omission. While it may sound like I'm being really close-minded, these were fundamental elements that contributed to the beloved nature of the original entries. These features not only added uniqueness to the worlds with distinct characters, but it just also made the gameplay so much more engaging. But I really did like the origami aspect where you have to fill in different holes. It really made you explore the world a lot more deeper as well. Overall, it's a pretty good installment. Just missing out on our top 3 by the minuscule margins, we have Super Paper Mario on the Nintendo Wii coming in at number 4. Super Paper Mario blends classic platformer with some of the RPG elements of its predecessors, and it even throws in a world-flipping mechanic that gives you a whole new perspective. This game was originally planned as a GameCube game, which perhaps makes a lot more sense that it diverges from the 1000-Year Door's way of doing things, and it certainly divided fans in that regard. Regardless of where you fall on the spectrum of fandom, the Wii entry is a beautiful game, filled with so many puzzles, an intriguing story, and a very unique flip mechanic. Super Paper Mario was the first game in the series that really strayed away from its true RPG origins, opting for a 2D platformer approach while still maintaining such things as experience points and badges. Isn't it really cool how change can sometimes be really positive? I really enjoy this game. As with this game's predecessors, the game also features some really good music, amazing writing, and very interesting locations and characters to explore and interact with. The story is arguably the best in the series. It sees Count Black attempting to delete all of reality out of spite for losing his long-lost love. This leads to some very dark places for Mario. Where else will you get a chapter dealing with a gang navigating hell, or Luigi somehow ending up with an ancient book to end the universe? This is without a doubt in my mind the best Paper Mario story in the entire series. Each chapter has a carefully woven subplot that somehow connects back to the main story, while still all being elaborate and complete on its own. Although I love the original 2 Paper Marios due to being a classic turn-based RPG with lots of story and just a lot of places to explore, this proved to me that Paper Mario can change and still be very good. Super Paper Mario's worlds are all wildly unique, using an unusual mixture of colors and art styles for its various worlds, all with an explosion of pixel-like characters, brand new enemies, and so many cool side quests. There are also 4 main playable characters in the form of Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Bowser. Plus, you do technically have partners as well, but they're more of a companion which has a unique skill set. They're known as the Pixels. They're nowhere near as cool as the partners in Paper Mario 64 or the Thousand Year Door, but I do appreciate them and they do really fit the game's atmosphere really well. I also really enjoyed the boss battles and in particular their designs. The gameplay elements did restrict their designs slightly just due to the way that you fight them. You essentially avoid them and they just counter the boss's attacks. This can be fun, annoying, boring, or really just difficult depending on who you ask, but overall, I actually quite liked them. All in all, Super Paper Mario tried bold and exciting new things while still managing to keep the series' core identity intact. I know this for a fact as well, as you get an immediate reference to Paper Mario 64 and the Thousand Year Door in the very opening cutscene with the photo frames of Mario and his partners. They're not afraid to embrace its history, and I absolutely love that. The only one glaring issue that I have with this game though is its difficulty. There is almost nothing challenging about it, but overall it's a phenomenal game. Entering the third spot, we have the game that started it all, and it's a classic adventure from start to finish. This of course is Paper Mario 64. There's just something comforting about how Paper Mario 64 presents itself. Your quest to rescue the 7 star spirits take you all across the Mushroom Kingdom, to so many areas that are just bursting with personality and characters that you had no idea ever existed. The story arc itself is pretty simple, with Bowser stealing the Star Rod, causing Mario to rescue the star spirits, but having his castle lift Peaches to the sky just lined up the entire story perfectly. This game is simply oozing with so much charm and class. Plus, it changes up the whole Peach getting kidnapped by Bowser thing, since you even get to play as the princess at the very start of each chapter. I absolutely love the princess sequences. Whether I was sneaking around the castle gathering intel, or bribing a fat shy guy by baking him a strawberry cake, these are all excellent. And it's so much fun at the very end of the game, where you get to explore the castle as Mario, just retracing all the steps that you took with Princess Peach during the game. This game first allowed us to experience the outside world of the Mushroom Kingdom, and it's all within a turn-based RPG game. There was so much to love with the straightforward turn-based fighting style, the various partners that travel alongside with Mario, and the many hidden extras that players can find by simply just thinking around in the game. Despite originally being a sequel to Super Mario RPG, the game brought several new ideas to the table as well. The partners could be used both in battle and also out of battle this time around. Plus, there was a new addition that was called Badges that gives Mario and his partners various helpful bonuses in and outside of battle. There are honestly so many locations in this game that seriously stand out as some of my favorite Mario locales. Tubba Blubber's Castle Chase, Shy Guy's Toy Box, the Penguin Murder Mystery, the list just goes on and on. The best part is that they're all connected to the main hub world being Toad Town, just making this world feel genuinely alive. This game also features a massive cast of memorable bosses, each coming with their own unique personality and battle mechanics. Paper Mario 64 just remains a timeless classic, and it really did set the foundation for Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door to truly shine. Speaking of which, it shouldn't come as a surprise that the 2 top spots on this list are both the Thousand Year Door. And no, this is not being blindsided by nostalgia. The second spot in particular goes to Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door on the Nintendo GameCube. To avoid repeating myself with the number 1 spot, I'll talk about the Thousand Year Door here, and then discuss with the number 1 spot the differences that make the remake better in my opinion. Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door is a shining example of how to craft a sequel. It takes everything great about its predecessor and just simply elevates it to new heights. The Thousand Year Door improves on the original with unique partner health, more unique action commands, tighter overall gameplay, so many more distinct areas, the storylines found within the game, and all of the characters that you interact with throughout your journey. The partners in particular feel so much more active and distinct thanks to their unique dialogue and their backstories, just giving them so much more personality. The Thousand Year Door offers a very memorable and very unique cast of characters as well, while still fitting very seamlessly into the Mario world. Rogueport, for example, contrasts super nicely with the friendly Toad Town, just offering a very grimy flavor that extends to all of its inhabitants. Each area outside of Rogueport also feels very different as well, just adding a whole lot of variety to the game. Let's come back to the partners again though. Each partner in this game has unique action commands, like Vivian's random button sequences, or even Kuz's shell flicking. The combat is also super engaging, and in my opinion, it is super well balanced with the fun story and all the world puzzles. Speaking of world puzzles, I love how the partners have overworld abilities again. This obviously returned from Paper Mario 64. The game also doesn't feel repetitive as well, and I think this is due to the fact that every chapter feels super unique. Most of them do have you exploring wide, kind of big areas, but chapters 3 Glitzville Fighting Pit, for example, and chapter 6's Train Mystery really shake it up in a good way. I also absolutely love how the paper theme was integrated in this game without feeling over the top at all. It just simply turns Mario into a paper plane, a paper boat, etc. It's just not too in your face. The battle system as well is a little bit more complex, but it does then come with a lot of new moves, action commands, stage hazards, etc. It's really good in my opinion. I also love all the rich subplots and the sharp sense of humor throughout the story as well. This game just feels like a true expansion of Paper Mario 64. The world building is just super excellent, and I have to mention Luigi's humorous tales that adds so much charm to the game. Oh, and I need to mention the fact that they also integrate Bowser and Peach's stories into the game as well, and they manage to tie it all together at the very end of the game. That is something I love to see,
alongside all those amazing boss battles.
But overall, The Thousand Year Door in my opinion is more than just a game. It's an experience. The music is phenomenal. The story is just super mysterious with so much different kinds of adventures going on within it. The only downside of this game compared to Paper Mario 64 in my opinion is the removal of the spin move, but you can't win them all. This game can only be topped by one other Paper Mario installment, which of course is its most recent remake. So coming in at number 1 is Paper Mario The Thousand Year Doors remake for the Nintendo Switch. And no, this is not because it's just new. Before I even talk about this game, my lord do I hope it sells well. At the very time of recording this game, it has only been out for 3 days. Simply, if you love the original game, everything is here. But this time, it's all in beautiful HD graphics and comes with so many notable additions that don't take away from the original at all. Some examples include an art and sound gallery, new NPCs like the Battle Master and Ian Fumus, a partner ring for easy swapping, an updated soundtrack with the option to switch to the original thanks to a GameCube badge, a very helpful hint system from Goombella, the introduction of a new pipe room for fast travel, which now has a warp point each chapter mind you, being able to find star pieces by just hammering like you could in Paper Mario 64, the areas in the sewers now having like grass on the floor with the pipe to show it's going to Petal Meadows or whatever. There is honestly just so much. And this is without even mentioning the brand new game boss battles, which are absolutely epic, a heap more save blocks throughout the game, the option now to retry battles instead of going back to your old save, completely brand new music for legitimately everything, almost all the characters having new talking sounds when you interact with them. I especially love how I'm getting to see some very small localization changes from the original too. Most significantly, the fact that Vivian has now been confirmed to be transgender. These changes alongside others just made this entire experience feel brand new again. If you want my full experience, check the chapters ranking on screen. But to conclude, this has been my Paper Mario series ranking. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section what your rankings would look like. I just simply adore this series as a whole. And while it did lose its way a little bit during its history, I am a strong believer that Nintendo and Paper Mario are soon to be restored to its original glory. I'm confident that Nintendo know what the fans want and what people like a little bit more better. But if you did enjoy the video, it'd be much appreciated if you could leave a like and of course subscribe. It honestly helps out the channel a lot here. And hey, if you didn't agree with my rankings at all, tell me I'm an idiot in the comments. That also helps the algorithm as well. Until next time though, take care, go out and buy Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, and goodbye.